Hi. So I like to play Project Zomboid. I like to play it on the go, and occasionally I like to sit down at my desk and play it on my desktop, which I am at right now. But clicking on Zomboid, I noticed that there is no Steam Cloud synchronization. As we can see here on Dirt 4, cloud status right next to last played. Going over to Zomboid, just the last played, no cloud status. So here on the Steam Deck, I actually have a save. It's named Deck, and it's separate. It will never go over to the desktop unless I manually transfer it over. Same on the desktop. So we'll go ahead and get the desktop running. I will say that this Steam Deck to desktop uh, synchronization, it will get technical. So here I've got this right here, and I'll actually rename this to desktop, no space, rename file, back. We have the one save here on the desktop and the one save here on the Steam Deck. Both of them will not transfer over. Okay, so we'll back out. We will back out of this. I'll have to touch the screen here. And now we will use the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the Raspberry Pi. All right, now here in the Raspberry Pi, we can ls the Zomboid sync, and it's actually going to save it under saves and survivor, and we can see there's nothing in there. Cool. So what we will do on the desktop is we will run the script located in the local bin called Zomboid sync desktop. I'll have to give it the Raspberry Pi password twice. So once to send and once to pull. This is now pushing, or that says 2 out of 2 pushing local saves to Raspberry Pi. Yeah. So, all right, full sync complete. If we go over to the Raspberry Pi, we can now see that we have the desktop folder there. Going over to the desktop, we will see that we only have the one at the moment. Cool. We'll zoom in on these. All right, now then, we want the Steam Deck and the desktop to have the same files. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to hop on to the Steam Deck. All right, now that we are here, we can ls the Zomboid folder on it to show that we have just the one deck save at the moment. So let's go ahead and run the script that is at local bin Zomboid sync deck in this case. We'll have to give it the Raspberry Pi password. And now we have a full sync. Now if we go over to the Raspberry Pi and look at this syncs save folder, we will now see we have both the deck and the desktop. But the Steam Deck will now have the desktop save as well. The desktop does not have the deck save just yet, so let's go ahead and synchronize once more. And now we have a full sync, where we've got both the deck and the desktop saves on both the Steam Deck and the desktop, as well as the sort of cloud in between on the Raspberry Pi. So going over to the Steam Deck, clicking load, we now see that we have our saves and an additional one that looks like it lingered from previous backups. So we got the deck and the desktop, and now going over to the desktop Zomboid and clicking load, we now see we have the deck, desktop, and that remnants of the one that we had from before. But that is the full synchronization. And since the deck is on Tailnet, anywhere this deck has internet access, I actually have access to this Raspberry Pi that is hooked up on the LAN here through the switch. This Raspberry Pi is running 24/7 on the network, and it has Tailscale installed on it, so all the devices can access it as long as we have internet. All right, thank you. Have a good one. Notice that I did not show what the scripts were actually doing. So here I've pulled it up for the deck. So the Steam Deck has an IP address for the Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi user, the Raspberry Pi location where we want to save the syncs, as well as my local saves directory for Zomboid, or in this case, the full Zomboid folder. We can ignore the echo and the hashtags, those are just human descriptions. The real gist of what's going on is these Rsync lines. So we can go ahead and just clean this up to show what is actually truly running, which is just these 6 lines here, and then all the verboseness, so that we know that this is, I believe A is, I want to say archiving, we got verbose and to zip it up, and then hyphen hyphen update to get them to sort of synchronize and not overwrite, but instead look for the newest files. And then here in the first quotations, we have sort of an SSH piece for the Pi user and the Pi IP address, and then the location. So we are sending this to the local directory, being here. And then on the other end, we push from the Steam Deck, so our local directory, to the Raspberry Pi directory, using the same rsync updates with the same rules. And I'm going to confirm that hyphen A, so rsync dash dash help, and we'll look for hyphen A, which is archive. Cool. Yep. All right. Thanks for joining me. Have a good one, y'all.